Hello YouTube people, I am making a Mass Effect video. I know it's been a long time since I made a video, and I know nobody really cares because no one's subscribed to this channel, but I just hit N7 level 1000, and I figured, why not make a Mass Effect video? I have a few things I want to talk about. There's not really any particular direction I want to go with this video, but there are a couple points I'd like to hit. I'm going to talk about equipment usage. I'm going to talk about a couple small patches I'd like to see in the future. I'm going to talk about some weapon usage, what I think about some of the newer weapons, what I think about some of the classic weapons that people tend to use, and how people actually play the game. And a couple of class build setups. Mainly Infiltrator, because that's a class I play a lot. I know that's a class everybody plays a lot, and so there's really no point in going over any other classes. Well, there would be, but for all practical purposes, especially in Gold, that's what people play. So I figured I'd go over some of my thoughts on the Infiltrators, how I play it. So I guess we'll get right into that. I'm on my engineer right now because I was doing some cheesy gold farming on, you know, that Firebase white, gold, Geth cheese, because you know, gotta get them credits, gotta get those new weapons, which I do have now. I have Rieger and Chrysate 10, Carrier like 3 now. Just promoted my Infiltrator, but we can still go over setups. I guess the first thing I'd like to talk about, since we just saw it there, is I'd like to see a patch that made it to where when you promote a character, the colors and name that you chose are saved. And so if you're someone like me who promotes their characters a lot, you don't have to constantly rename and reskin your characters, because when you start unlocking more color layers and camos and stuff, that's at least like 6 colors that you have to remember what you used. And I believe, let's look here at equipment. There's a 3 by probably like 18 space here, so that's at least like 40 plus colors that you have to remember which one you wanted for each of these. And if you can't remember what color setup you had and you really liked it, that can be pretty irritating. And when you're on console, renaming your character, if you don't have a chat pad, and even if you do, can be quite the pain. And I know I like to name my characters funny names like Skippin' Sally and Poopin' Johnny, and I really just don't do it anymore. I go to the nearest letter and hit it as many times as I need to not have a repeating name, and then I don't worry about it. But I'd like to have my characters named, but it's just too much of a hassle for me, and I don't keep my characters at level 20. I thought about doing it for when I hit 1,000, just to stay there and maybe grind with a little bit more efficiency, but as you can see, I have no characters that are at level 20 right now. But anyway, let's go into how I spec my Infiltrator. First off, Tactical Cloak. I think a mistake that a lot of people make in their Tactical Cloak specking is, on most characters, unless you're going to go with a pure sniper damage build, and even if you want to go with sniper kind of damage, you want to use a sniper rifle. On the Geth Infiltrator and the Solarian Infiltrator, it's not really a good idea to go past this 4th evolution, because the points that you could use, the 11 points that you get from not using these, could be much better used in fitness or maybe an energy drain. I'd like fitness. Or I guess actually it would be an energy drain when you hit 20. But especially on the Geth, since Geth are super squishy when you have Hunter mode activated, if you're going for pure damage, you're probably going to go with no fitness if you put up this 6th evolution. And seeing as the Geth starts out with 250 health, 500 shields, and that shield is cut in half by Hunter mode, you're talking about 500 overall shields and health, and you're just insanely squishy at that point. And with those extra 11 points, you can get up to about 1,000 shields and 375 health, which puts you at 500 and 375 health. So what I always do on at least my 2 characters that have Proxy Bomb is I only go to this 4th evolution here and I get the extra 40% damage. That way all weapon options are open to me. Maybe if I have a couple extra points and I don't want to put it in Energy Drain, I'll go with this recharge speed, which helps with some of the heavier weapons like your Black Widows and your Claymores. But that's Tactical Cloak. And the only reason I would go to that 4th or 6th evolution for the extra 40% sniper damage is on maybe a Quarian character or a human infiltrator, where they don't have any really other damage-heavy attacks or powers, and I just want to go for straight lazy sniper damage. Then I will do this, but on characters that have Proxy Bomb or that you want to use other weapons for, these 2 are pretty much wasted perks. Proximity Mine, which is probably going to be on most infiltrators that you run. I generally like to go with the AoE damage. This damage is nice, but the area that this gives you combined with the extra damage for everything, this is the main thing that's good about Proxy Bomb, is your extra damage that you're putting on targets for all sources. So if you're hanging around teammates or have friends that you can call out what you've painted by the Proxy Bomb, that's good, and this just paints extra targets for you. So if you have other people that have area of effect damage or you're running an explosive weapon, this combined with this is a super good damage, and then you're going to want to go with damage again to compensate for the damage that you didn't get here. And the recharge speed is generally irrelevant because you're going to be cloaking and then firing your Proxy Bomb, and the cloak break is what's going to trigger a cooldown, not the proxy cooldown. So it really doesn't matter what cooldown your Proxy Bomb has. Energy Drain, kind of irrelevant. On your operative, generally I just go weapon damage, depending on what I'm going to be using. Like if I'm going to be using Geth Plasma Shotgun or Kaise Rifle, I go with power damage for Proxy Bomb here. I generally like to divide up my 2 Proxy Bomb infiltrators into Geth Infiltrator using non-headshot weapons, and then Solarian Infiltrator using headshot weapons, and then I go with the appropriate evolution there. And then on the final, I always go increase weapon damage, because reducing weight is pretty irrelevant, because Cloak has a pretty short cooldown regardless of what you have equipped. And then fitness is just whatever you want, generally shields, unless you're going with the Geth melee build. So let's look at the Geth Infiltrator real quick. Most of it is the same stuff. Here we go with that renaming again. Most of it's the same, but except for the passive, the networked AI passive and the Hunter mode passive. So we'll look at that. Pretty much same, 7.5, but except for this last one, and that gives you Geth weapon damage, which when you're using Javelin and especially Geth Plasma Shotgun is huge. You're basically getting an extra 15% damage, I think, on top of a 22%. So you're getting like upwards of 30% damage on Geth weapons, and so there's an advantage of using a Geth Plasma Shotgun or a Javelin, although the Javelin's kind of wonky, kind of hard to use, but Geth Plasma Shotgun over any other shotgun and sniper because of that extra damage. So that's something to look at when you're trying to choose a weapon. And since Geth Plasma Shotgun is only a gold weapon, a lot of people have it pretty high level. And that kind of brings me into your Hunter mode. With these first 3, I like to go on my Geth Infiltrator. Since it's not a headshot based weapon, or based character, I generally go with recharge speed of powers for faster cooldown on my cloak, because weapon accuracy generally doesn't matter. Then I go with rate of fire, because the two most powerful weapons that you're going to be using with this character are either going to be the Black Widow, the Kryze, or the Geth Plasma Shotgun, all of which have multiple shots but have kind of a delay. And the 15% that you get from this is actually a noticeable difference. And that, you can basically read this as damage, because the more damage you're putting down on in a shorter amount of time, then the faster your cloak breaks and the more you can reload and put out more damage. So on bigger targets, on smaller targets that doesn't really matter, but on bigger targets that actually does matter. That would probably translate into an extra fire cycle per 4 or 5 fire cycles on that 15. So definitely go with this. And then on this last one, I guess it really depends on what kind of infiltrator you want to play. If you really want to focus on hitting objectives and being aware of your surroundings, go with this, because you can see where enemies are a lot better, and then you have extra run speed. And so that definitely helps with getting to objectives and knowing when to jump off an objective to take care of something that's coming towards you. But then if you want to be focused purely on killing, an extra 10% on top of the, I think, 25%, or on top of the 15% damage that you get from the rest of the buffs in Hunter mode is, and on top of the 30-something% you get from the damage passive, is an absolutely insane amount of damage. So really, I go with this generally, but if I had some teammates that weren't running objective kind of classes, like maybe a Krogan or another infiltrator, I would maybe go this. Or if I wasn't too concerned with damage, I would go here. So that's pretty much it for